Hello, come on then. Come here then. Hello, I'm Scott, the face behind HC Visuals, and today I'm gonna give you a little look in what's in my camera bag for this coming 2025 wedding season. A lot of this stuff is tried and tested. I've used for many years now, and there have been a few new additions as well. So let's get into it, starting with what cameras I'm using. I am a Lumix man. I shoot on, I have two of these S5 IIs. This particular one, I have this small rig Black Mamba, I think it's called Black Mamba case, cage and grip handle here. So this is actually, the cage and the handle is actually a new addition. I've not shot a wedding with this on yet. Basically, I want to limit the amount of gimbal use that I do on the day. So the intention with this, I'm going to have my Ninja monitor, which we'll get to in a bit. Obviously, I'll show you that. Mounted on here as well, and I'm going to have like a separate handle here just for a bit of stabilization. I want to just do a lot more sort of handheld stuff this year. The stabilization on these things is great. So by limiting the amount of gimbal use, I can just lighten the load a bit. You know, for what I'm doing, I'm going to be able to get perfectly stable shots, and the gimbal is going to be sort of limited to just certain things like establishing shots and things of that nature. So yeah, S5 II, the two main cameras. I have this one and this one that I'm currently filming on. Obviously with the custom functions, that allows me to switch between my normal 25 frames per second and 50 frames per second modes, so for slow-mo bits. And then on the C3 I have other little features saved which don't get used as much on a wedding day, like the open gate feature and things like that. So yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible cameras. I have it set to do the dual record on the card slots, and then with the monitor I have a triple redundancy feature which we'll get into when I show you that. So yeah, like I say, two of these. We'll talk about the lenses separately. This is a little new addition, the S9. So the idea behind getting this really was for a new package that I'm offering to my couples this year, which is what I am dubbing premium content creation. So what I mean by that is essentially it's content creation for couples that isn't shot on a phone. So with this, I've got like a look built in that I really like. So throughout the day, just get some video clips, get some photos from here. Can just download them straight to the Lumix Lab app, upload to Dropbox, and send to the couple the very next day. So really good, really quick and convenient. Premium content creation, shot on something like this is not something that I'm aware of anyone else doing at this time of recording. I'm sure there probably is, but I'm not aware of it. I just wanted to offer a sort of alternative to phone content, because from my perspective, it's not, I mean, I'm obviously biased because I'm a videographer, but I don't feel that having content shot on a phone is necessarily a good investment. Most people have a lot of guests that are shooting throughout the day on their phones. They're going to capture tons of video clips and photos. So, you could just spend the same amount of money you'd spend on a content creator on having this as an add-on to your videography package. And it's still raw in nature, because it's straight out of camera. It does have the look built in, obviously, but there's no fine adjustments that you would get with your photos and your wedding film. So yeah, that's the content creation camera. I still have my main prime lenses on there, so if a couple hasn't booked content creation, I can get a few little extra snippets at different focal lengths throughout the day with this as well. It's still shooting the same great quality footage as the S5 IIs. In terms of lenses, let me tell you about what lenses I'm using. So this being my A cam, in the 2024 wedding season, for the most part on my A cam, which was on my gimbal, I had this 24-105 f4, f4 continuous throughout the zoom range. I'm not mad about this lens, if I'm honest. I mean, it does have the image stabilization built in as well, which combined with the camera is is great, but there's just something about it that I'm not 100% happy with. Like, still perfectly good image, still perfectly usable, but I don't know, it's just missing something for me. I don't know if it's the fact that it's limited to f4, it's not quite fast enough. There's something not right. So it's still going to be in the kit for this year. I mean, the flexibility of having that zoom range, particularly for ceremony and speeches, you know, you can have this set up in the back of the room. You can zoom right into 105 if needs be, or anywhere in between to get that nice speaker view. And with the new firmware update on the hybrid zoom, that will zoom in even further. So yeah, it's still going to be in the case and used for those applications like speeches and stuff, but I can't see it being one of my main go-to lenses for the rest of the day, like capturing B-roll, couple shots and stuff like that. I have recently invested in, it's on the S9 at the moment, the 35mm f1.8. So this is going to be my main A-cam lens. So all of general kind of B-roll, couple shots, this is going to be it on this rig here. Aside from those two, I have the 50mm f1.8, which is what I'm filming on. So that will probably live mainly on the S9. I don't use that as much. Like throughout the last few wedding seasons, I haven't used it as much. I don't know why. It's just, you just get a feel for things, like what works for you and what doesn't. But my absolute favorite is, where is it hiding? My absolute favorite lens, 85mm f1.8. There's just something about the image that this produces that I just absolutely love. I've always been a fan of the 85mm focal length, and I just absolutely love the separation between the subject and the background that this lens achieves. So this is going to be on this camera that I'm currently filming on. Again, this is going to be for B-roll, like the couple shots. I don't really use it for anything beyond couple shots or capturing candid moments of guests. So that's kind of like the B lens, and the 35 is going to be the A. Between those two lenses, I'm going to be capturing the majority of the day, with the 50mm being more of a content type lens, and the 24-105 being something to give me a bit more flexibility for ceremony and speeches. With each lens, I actually have to take the edge off of the old digital look that they produce. Each one, so the 85, 35, 50 and 24-105 have a filter on. So in the case of the 85 and the 24-105, I have the Tiffin Glimmer Glass #1. Now Glimmer Glass is a lot like the Pro Mists, but it gives a slightly different effect. It's a little more subtle. So we've got the Glimmer Glass on the 85, and like I say, on the 24-105, and on the 35 and the 50, I have the Pro Mist quarter filter. So that's that there. And I just love, I mean, you can see with the lamp behind me here, it just, you know, it softens and blooms the highlights. There is the occasional bit of flaring, which I'm not mad about, but I can live with it because of the other results that it provides. And another great thing is with those Tiffins, I can stack my ND filters. So K&F Concept ND filter case, and I have got a ridiculous number of, I mean, there's 2 to 1 pouch in here in some cases. A ridiculous number of NDs which I've accumulated over the years, but the main ones that I'm using are these. So this one is for the this one is the K&F Concept, and it's for the 24-105. But I just have a variation of this in different thread sizes. So this is it. It's got this handle to change the amount of stops. And the benefit of this is you can also twist this and it becomes a circular polarizer as well, which on sunny days is really helpful, just taking some of those harsh highlights down and stuff. So yeah, they're the NDs that I'm using, and like I say, they just can screw right on the front of the Tiffin filters. You know, a lot of purists would probably like scowl at me for that, but there is not really a great degradation in the image quality, and if there is, it's going to be so negligible that, you know, in reality the couple aren't going to notice. I'm still getting great images out of the camera, stacking those filters, so if it works for you, why change it? Right, what do we have up next? You may have seen on the S9 that I have this little attachment. This is the Spider holster attachment, so you just have a little clip on your belt and then just clips right on, and then you can just quickly take it on and off. So I have one on here and one on the camera that I'm shooting on, and also on this camera that I'm shooting on I have the DJI Ronin base plate, so it will just screw in the bottom of there. So when I do use the Ronin, that can just go straight on and off when it's already balanced, which is handy. And one thing I forgot to mention, with these prime lenses, they're all the same size and weight, so when it comes to balancing the Ronin, I can switch out any three of these, the 85, 35 and the 50, and use it on the Ronin without any change to the balance. So different focal lengths for gimbal use, flexibility again. But like I say, I'm trying to make life easier and not use the gimbal as much, so I'm probably not going to be faffing about changing lenses. We'll get more into the gimbal stuff later when I show you that. SD wise, I use the Integral Ultima 256 gig. They last me all day, and like I say, I'm dual recording, so we don't need to talk too much about SDs because it's not that interesting, but I keep them in this little pouch, which is handy. I've got a whole bunch in there. Should I ever need to change, or heaven forbid one fails, we've got backups. Throughout the day, actually, I'm keeping all of that stuff. I should have been more prepared and have this stuff to hand. Some people laugh at this, but this SD pouch and the batteries for the camera, of which I have 11, they all go in here. That's just around my waist. I rather like it, but people are often saying, why are you wearing a sporran? I don't care. It's functional and it works. So let's talk about audio gear. So as you can see here, I'm recording myself with the DJI mic. Easy for me to say. DJI mic, first generation, so I haven't upgraded these to the second generation, as I just really haven't felt the need. These are perfectly adequate. No issues with the audio quality coming out of these. So these are going onto the registrar, the celebrant, the groom, and in some cases anyone giving a reading. So I only have 2 of them. I also use them for speeches, and with this little thing, this is one of my favourite bits of kit. So this is just a little sleeve, so this bit inside you can just slip over the base of the microphone, and then that's sort of inside this little pouch then, and then you can just clip the DJI mic inside. So then as they're holding it, you're recording their voice. So that's one way of getting the speeches. Second way being, I use Tascam DR40. So when it's available, I'm just plugging this into the desk and getting a line out. Great bit of kit. Obviously you need to make sure you've got every different kind of cable going to make sure you're compatible with whatever the desk is putting out there. For the rest of the audio, I have 2 of these Tascam DR10Ls. Again, not the newest or most up-to-date bits of kit, but like I say, I've been using these for years and they've never let me down. They're incredible. So I'm using a variety of these, like different variations depending on what the situations are. So in some cases I'll have this on the groom, inside pocket, got the lav up. If say for example there's 2 females giving readings, or the registrar's a female and there's 1 female giving a reading, I find it much easier to clip the DJIs onto their dress than obviously rigging a lav up onto them. So you know, it's just about sort of taking each case as it comes and working out what's the most appropriate solution in that scenario. So yeah, that's kind of the audio. I don't do much more in terms of audio. That gives me everything I need. You only need to look at my films to see that the audio is pretty clear. I'll show you quickly the audio cables for the DR40. So I keep them all in this pouch. This came with one of the S5 IIs, and it's actually for a lens, but it's really handy for storing all of this. It's a big mound. It's actually quite neat, to be fair. It looks a mess. Let's just go through it. I mean, I'll link all of this stuff in the description, so if you're just starting out and you need to know what kind of things you need, it'll all be below. So, red to white, 1/4" jack. That's often gets used. Some of this stuff I haven't used really, and some of it is not necessary. So again, we've got the red and white. I don't know what the technical term for these is. Excuse my ignorance. It's a case of I know how to use them, but I don't necessarily know their names. So that's the red and white to RCA, is it? RCA. Red and white RCA to just a headphone jack. That's just an aux lead. Never use that. This is just an adapter for the RCA, and that's a headphone jack there. Obviously we need obligatory XLR cable, female to male. That's just an RCA. And what else do we have? I've got so many different things here. Again, it's kind of a case of you need them all because you never know in what circumstances each one is going to come in handy. So this is an adapter for the XLR, so I can go to 1/4" jack, and then same with this, we've got the RCA to XLR. Try and untie that so it's not in a knot. And then another XLR. And that's the cables. So they do the job. Like I say, they'll all be linked below. Lighting. So you may see, if I've not posted it already, I'm going to be posting in the coming days an unboxing of some new lights that I've recently purchased for this year's wedding season. So I'm currently using them for this video. Up here I have the Giant Molus X100, and then over there I have the Aperture 60D. They are both incredibly bright and are gonna be absolutely wonderful for lighting speeches and, you know, reception, things like that. Nice and bright, nice and powerful. Not the most portable of lights, but I'm trying to sort of like elevate my lighting game this year. I also have this small aperture light. So this one, it has like the thread in here. So a lot of the time I'm screwing this on top of the camera on the, don't have it to hand, but just like a handle on top of the camera. And this is good on the dance floor. Say if it gets to a point in the night where people want that dance floor vibe and these lights are kind of killing that vibe a little bit. I've actually found, you know, people will say avoid having, like shooting directly with the light. It's a negligible difference. I've found having this on top of the camera, I could be on the dance floor. If I see a moment I want to capture, just quickly flick it on, get the moment that I need, and then I'm out of there like a ninja. So that's the main application for this. I'm also using it in bride prep if I need to like sort of light the dress up a little bit, or if I'm doing like a flat lay, you can just get a little bit of light in there, and we can, you know, adjust the temperature and the brightness with this as well. And this rubber cover just acts as a bit of diffusion. So yeah, that's great, a great little light. Gets more use than I ever thought it would, which is nice. And also I have this, another Giant light. This is the 20-watt bi-color. So again, this is pretty bright for its size. And with this one, again, it's just a case if I need a little bit more power in bride prep. If they're in a dark room, or, you know, I mean, that was on 40%, so you can see it's pretty bright. So if I need a little bit more power in bride prep to do details and dresses, and, you know, like I say, if they're in a dark room, I can whip this out. It also has diffusion and honeycomb kind of filters that you can stick on the front there just to soften it up a bit. And also find a good use for this is if a couple are doing sparklers in the evening, rather than taking the big lights out and setting them up on stands, I can just put this on top of the camera and it gives me everything I need to capture those sparkler shots. And it's often good enough for the photographer as well, so it can help them avoid using flash, which is nice because, you know, it can ruin the shots. So that's lighting. Gimbal. With the gimbal, I am using the RS4, and I mean, there's not a lot to say about this. A gimbal is a gimbal. These are obviously the most renowned and the best. I can't fault it in any way. It's great. It does the job. I just want to lighten the load this year and use it less. It's become a bit cumbersome carrying it around. I want to be able to quickly switch between focal lengths, and by having the spider holsters I can have a bit more flexibility and a bit more use of my hands, so I can go between different focal lengths quickly. You know, I can hold two cameras at a time in some cases, which I often do, like one on top of the other or side by side. And if I'm doing quite static shots, then with the stabilization in those lumixes, I can get everything I need. And then, you know, you can put a mixture of those in the film with the different focal lengths, which is really nice. So yeah, I mean, it's easy to say now. As the season goes on, things might change. I'm always thinking of ways of improving my filmmaking, things I can change up, and I've come to a point now where I want to limit the amount of gimbal use. You know, it can be overdone as well. I find there's big sweeping shots, and you know, they look beautiful, but there's a time and a place, and I'm mixing it up this year. So still going to be the same great films, lively films with movement. I just don't feel the need to use that as much. Like I say, establishers and stuff like that, absolutely great. So what else do we have? The monitor that I'm using is the Atomos Ninja. So with that, I've got it rigged up now on this camera, so it's going into the camera using the Atomos HDMI cable. I've used other HDMI cables in the past and they've completely crapped out on me, so I spent the big bucks and got the Atomos one, and so far no issues. It looks cool as well. Everyone loves a curly cable. Guitarists will know what I'm on about with that one. Additionally, with this I have the SSD, which can go into the back of the Ninja, and from there I can record an additional feed straight into the SSD in ProRes. So it's a little bit of peace of mind for a paranoid guy like me. I've got the dual recording on the camera, you know, it's duplicating it on each SD card, and then I've got that additional peace of mind of it going onto the SSD on the Ninja, and the added benefit of it being in ProRes should I ever wish to use that format. I've got the false color features, histograms, which really helps you get your exposure right and make sure you're getting like the best image. You know, you've got LUT previews as well, so you can kind of see how it's going to look when you do your Rec 709 conversion. So yeah, that's the monitor that I'm using, Atomos Ninja. And then of course there is the bag itself, and it's nothing fancy. It's just this newer. It's a great size though, and it's on wheels with an extendable handle. So everything that I've outlined today, apart from the big lights, they're all going in there. And plenty of space for a few more little bits and bobs as well, so that's good. For my tripods, I have recently acquired this newer tripod, TPM200. It is a bit of a big bastard, but I needed something that goes to a fairly reasonable height, because I found over the years that if you set a tripod up at the back of the venue, you're not necessarily going to get the shots you want because someone's head's going to get in the way. So this goes to, I've set it up full height and it's way higher than me, and I'm just over 6 foot. So this is going to shoot over people's bonces, and I'm going to get the angles that I want using this and cut out people's heads, because there has been a problem over the years The only problem is its size. It is a bit cumbersome, but it's going to achieve what I want it to. Otherwise, I am just using K&F Concept tripods. This is just a normal sized, normal height tripod, and it has got a detachable monopod, which is nice. You just screw the camera into here. That adjusts, and you can take it to the base plate size that you need. So it's very, very flexible and easy to use. For the most part, this is what I'm using at the front of the ceremony. And then this one, I haven't used our wedding yet, but that's going to be at the back, like I say, to fly high. That's the tripods. It's not overly exciting, but I know from my own experience when I was starting out, like, I just want less of the absolute drivel and waffle. Like, just show me what you've got. Does it work? Is it good? Can I get away with buying it and using it as a beginner? And I would say to anyone watching this who is starting out, everything that I've outlined in this video is user-friendly, does the job really well to a very high standard, and is going to achieve the desired results. You may have to spend a little bit of time just getting accustomed to it, but it doesn't take long. And, you know, like I say, some of this stuff's been out for a long time, like the microphones, the Tascam microphones, and I see absolutely no reason at this stage to change them and just spend more money. There is a trap you can fall in this industry to feel like you need to have the newest and best thing year on year. So each wedding season you're buying more and more and getting rid of stuff you already have. And whilst it's true and required for some things, it's not necessary for everything else. So like I say, everything I have here is going to serve me very well for the next few years. It has served me well over the years to date, and I'm probably going to add a few things here and there as we go. There's a few lenses I have my eye on, but they're nice to haves rather than must haves. So yeah, that's the camera bag. I don't think I've missed anything out. I have missed something out. I have. I almost forgot to tell you about the drone. The drone is something I'm not overly big on. Don't particularly like having it or flying it. I don't know why. You know, the results are always great and fun, and everyone wants, you know, drone shots of their venue and stuff, and I get it, which is why I have it. But personally, I'm not a big fan. So I just have the Mini. The Mini, it does what I need it to do. I don't have the controller with the screen. I just plug my phone into there. Shoots 4K video. Takes somewhat raw photos. It's DJI's own version of RAW. And, you know, I've only got the one battery for it. I didn't get the big Pro pack, which has loads of batteries, because I'm really limiting how much I use this. Like I say, I get some venue establishers with it, and, you know, the occasional other bit of B-roll, but that's about it. And to be honest, that's just what most people want. So there's bigger and better drones out there, but for my purposes, that's all I need. And it's very reasonably priced. So yeah, that's the camera bag. If you've enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe. If you're interested in seeing more content that's, let's be honest, pretty frank and to the point, hit the bell notification, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.